I'm Dr. David Hawkins from the Marriage Recovery Center and the Emotional Abuse Institute. I want to cover some basics today about what exactly is emotional abuse. All right, push that subscribe button, tell others so they perhaps are in this kind of situation and need to learn about emotional abuse and what can be done about this incredible problem. First of all, what is emotional abuse? Emotional abuse is the use of power and control to overpower another individual, to obtain an outcome that benefits them and hurts you. It can be manipulation. It can be overt, such as intimidation, name-calling, slamming doors, physical violence, and it can be covert, such as withdrawing into silence, sulking, pouting, using a sarcastic reply, implying that the other is stupid, being dismissive. Those are all experiences of covert and overt emotional abuse. This problem is incredibly insidious. You know, if it happens one time in a person's life, that's one thing. If it happens day in and day out, month in, month out, year in, year out, that's an entirely different matter. Because this emotional abuse, pouting, sulking, withdrawing, shaming, blaming, accusatory, threatening, all of those, if they're done on any kind of consistent basis, it's going to feel oppressive. The abuser becomes larger and more powerful, and the victim feels smaller and less powerful. It's a non-equal relationship. Let me say that again because it's so very important. It's a non-equal relationship. There's a power differential. And so you can imagine that this power differential could take place in the work setting, obviously a marriage. It could take place between friends. It could take place with parents, adult parents, adult children. It can take place anywhere. Emotional abuse is rampant. Why do we call emotional abuse a silent epidemic? Well, because it takes place in the shadows of a family, a home, a work setting. Again, overt abuse takes place where others can see it. But covert abuse happens in private places. And so that's why you hear phrases such as Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Dr. Jekyll, the nice person, the elder in the church, leader in the community, the deacon in a church. And Mr. Hyde, or Ms. Hyde, the person who behind the scenes acts an entirely different way. We also call it a silent epidemic because it's not talked about as much as it needs to be talked about. Sadly, few professionals are really conversant with the issue of emotional abuse. Sadly, many who do marriage counseling conduct marriage counseling as if it's an equal situation. It takes two to tango, right? Not right. Not true. It doesn't always take two to tango. Sometimes the abuser is the person, the primary person, creating the power differential. And so it's a silent epidemic because not a lot of professionals know about it. Not a lot of people know about it. Not a lot of people talk about it. It's an incredibly rampant phenomenon. And it's hidden. In large part, it's hidden. Victims often feel ashamed about talking about it. They shouldn't, but they do. They feel ashamed of talking about it. Why? Because, well, first of all, the abuser tells them it's all in your head. You're making this up. There's no abuse taking place. And the victim of abuse questions themselves. They wonder, is it me? Am I doing something wrong? Because the victim of emotional abuse has often tried many, many different strategies to end the abuse. And it doesn't stop. Victims of abuse often try to cope, adapt, and accommodate. And we think of those terms as positive terms. Oh, they're such a good coper. They're such a good accommodator. They're such a good adapter. But when we pretzel ourselves by coping, adapting, and accommodating to abuse, then we become smaller and the abuser becomes larger. They become actually more powerful. And so, if you're the victim of abuse, you have perhaps stopped asking for what you want in this relationship because you figured out that you're not going to get what you want. And so now you're trying to make it through a day, trying to make it through a week, trying to simply make it, try to cope. And in all likelihood, you're exhausted because your efforts have proven to have no real impact. The abuser is still abusive, and you are still being victimized. In abuse, you're treated as if your thoughts and feelings don't matter. Because remember, in a healthy relationship, your thoughts and feelings matter. You feel a sense of freedom to come to your mate to share what you are concerned about. And your concerns are embraced, they're engaged with. And the other individual, knowing that it's an equal relationship, listens to you, cares about what you're feeling and thinking, and seeks to resolve that problem. Not so in the emotionally abusive relationship, which is again fraught with inequality. All right. If you find yourself in an emotionally abusive relationship, whether that's at work, whether it's at home, whether it's with adult parents, whether it's with friends, wherever it might be, what can you do? I want to give you 3 definite strategies. Again, push that subscribe button. For those that need to see it and hear it, share it with others. 3 strategies for you. Number 1, I want you to recognize abusive behavior. Learn all you can about it. Learn to recognize abuse, and thereby you'll at least be able to see it and say, this is wrong, this is abusive. And that will empower you. Second, I want you to confront the abuse. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, wait a minute, I've tried confronting it and it falls on deaf ears. That may happen. It may fall on deaf ears. I still want you to recognize it, number 1. Number 2, I want you to confront it. Confront it. That's wrong. I don't like it when you talk to me that way. That hurts when you talk to me that way. And number 3, I want you to set boundaries on it. Again, I understand that there will be people who will disregard your boundaries, but you still can say, I see it, I recognize it, I'm going to speak up about it, I'm going to confront it, and I'm going to tell you there will be consequences. Might those not be major? They may not be major, but they will still be consequences. You may decide to pull away from this person. In all likelihood, you will. You may decide to be out of relationship with that person ultimately. Tell this individual that there will be consequences in due time. All right. Please seek help. Don't try to go this alone. Emotional abuse is exhausting and overwhelming. Please take the steps that I've just outlined, and please self-validate by naming it, by identifying it, by confronting it. You're sending a powerful message to that other person and to yourself. In a way, it's like saying to yourself, I recognize that you're hurting. I recognize that you're in harm's way, and I'm going to speak up about it. And yourself will be thankful. All right. We are the Emotional Abuse Institute, and our mission is to shed light on the problem of emotional abuse and help you discover ways to find emotional freedom. We want to help you discover that truth and allow that truth to set you free. Please reach out to us. We are available to help you. You don't have to go this alone. All right, take care. God bless.